Welcome back to my channel. This is Cozy Christopher. Today we're going to be looking at the Alienware X17 and whether or not it can play Flight Simulator. Now, before we get into the video, I do want to point out that thankfully, 100% thankfully, Alienware released a BIOS update last night that allows or gives you the ability to use a MUX switch via the BIOS now, and so that now we can bypass the integrated graphics card and go directly to the dedicated Nvidia 3080 16GB graphics card. And so with that being said, these numbers are pre-BIOS update, and so you're not going to see the best performance that it has to offer now on this video. But I did want to share this video because I took the footage maybe about a week or so ago and I didn't want to waste it. And so what you're seeing here is the Alienware X17 connected to a 1440p 165 Hz monitor, and this is the LG GP83B 1440p 165 Hz 1 millisecond greater gray 32-inch monitor. And so I'm going to do a combination of this 1440p monitor attachment, and then we're going to do directly into or directly with the laptop using the 4K screen, so that you can see the difference between the performance again. And this is pre-BIOS update. But with that being said, I remember when Flight Simulator first came out in 2020, and it was devastating your average gaming PC. So your average gaming PC was getting like 20 and 30 frames per second in regards to that Flight Simulator. So it's very impressive to see the numbers here as is. And again, you know, I always tell you all that I never overclock or anything like that in these tests, because I don't think it's a fair representation as people that buy these and don't have the knowledge to be able to overclock and things like that. They're not going to get that same performance. And so I will genuinely leave it stock to do these recordings, and then, you know, if someone has questions about overclocking or something like that, then we can discuss that in the comments. Maybe I'll do a video of overclocking specifically, but with the Alienware, what I've seen to this point is that with the built-in overclocks in Alienware Command, you don't get really, you know, real big boost in performance, if you will. You'd have to do it manually, and you'd have to use, you know, your own software, MSI Afterburner or something like that to set up your overclock. But with that being said, as is, the system performs really well and you get really great performance and output. Now, with the 4K screen, you know, at it being 120 Hertz, and then it's also a 4K screen, you would get a much better performance on the 1080p variant when it comes to like FPS and things like that. But from a visual standpoint, especially playing a game like Microsoft Flight Simulator, playing it on this 4K screen is just flat out gorgeous. And, you know, as always, YouTube compression and recording with the camera will never give you that full picture of what you're seeing. But even though this game isn't natively 4K, it looks amazing on this 4K screen. And so, you know, it is what it is when it comes to that. You know, 4K gaming is still fairly new, although it is much further along than it was about 2 years ago. You know, 2 years ago, the 2080s and the 2080 Ti's and, you know, even the 1000 series Nvidia GPUs at that point were really struggling with 4K. And I know we're a little spoiled now because we're like 4K 120, but 4K 60 was the goal back then. And so here we are 2 years later, and we're at the 144 Hertz benchmark, or, you know, 165 with an overclock with some of the new LG displays. And so, you know, with that being said, this does play Flight Simulator really well. You're not going to get like the best, you know, FPS out of this, but, you know, 4K 60 is the limit for this game. And so straight out of the box, you're getting in the high 40s Every once in a while it'll jump into the 50s. You might drop down to 30s or so if you know, there's something super complex going on the screen, but it's a high 30. It's like 36, 30, 37, 38, but consistently you are just right below 50 frames per second at 4K. And so with that being said, you know, I don't want to take away from the fact that, again, Microsoft Flight Simulator is a very hard game to push. And so I will give credit where credit is due. You know, no, we're not getting a locked 4K 60 with this Alienware X17, and you would want that for the amount of money that you pay. I mean, I paid $4,000 for this one. I'll put a link above for you can see that original opening and talking about what I have. But again, you know, for a mobile laptop that stays cool, I'll take this all day. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. Please drop them in the section below. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. Stay cozy in that crazy world, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.